Hello and welcome to the Splitting Hairs podcast. What's up, Stack?
What's going on, Kyle? How you doing?
Feeling good. Getting one day closer to game day, so
Yeah,
excitement is in
football
the
is
air.
upon us once again.
That's
It's a good
right.
feeling.
None of this lame overlap of just baseball and
Right.
actually I do like tennis. Baseball is fun. It's just slow, It isn't
Yeah.
isn't for everybody. Isn't for everybody, but it's definitely exciting come October. So don't want to take anything away from them. And then obviously looking forward to us playing on a baseball field. That's some baseball that I can get behind.
Yep.
Right? At Target Field. Looking forward to that one. But before we get into all the good stuff, I just want to shout out our sponsors. So, big thank you to Cottonwood Coffee and Bistro out of Brookings, South Dakota. Check them out off Main. And then their 6th Ave location is the Bistro. Go in there, get some good eats, direct farm to table food. Got great breakfast, great coffee, iced, hot, you name it. They got all the fancy fall drinks coming up on tap for you as you get your studies in, or if you're visiting the area, stop in, say hello, tell them that we sent you from the Splitting Hairs podcast. That would be lovely. And also check out their e-commerce online. Go there, check out their glacial till, their espresso. Get yourself subscribed on auto order, and you can save some there as well. So shout out to Cottonwood Coffee as a sponsor. Our next title sponsor is True North Retirement for folks who are getting up there in age, maybe want to move some money around, maybe pull some out of stock market and set it up for their family to pass it down throughout their family tree. It's great to get your assets in order, have a living will, and make sure all your ducks are in a row for your next phase of life. So shout out to True North Retirement for their support of the podcast. So that being said, we're getting into it. I've thought a lot about this Thursday game. You have any initial impressions about it?
Uh, I mean, I talked to a couple of guys, mainly our old linemen, and they never take anyone like for granted or lightly. Just how Coach Olson coaches that room and the leadership they have in that room, and they're very confident. But at the same time, Mason was telling me that this D line is actually like massive, like they're like 300 across the board. All above like 6'4", 6'5". There's like a 6'7" DN they have that could possibly play some ball. So I mean, it's first game of the year, and you never know what can happen, and you don't want to come into it thinking one way or another. Uh, for the guys, I think it's just about picking up where you left off. You know what I'm saying, and winning in such a dominant way that they did in Frisco. It was just all about keeping the foot on the gas and just carrying that momentum through the rest of the season and the conference play into the playoffs. And they can do that. It's going to be a long year for a lot of people in FCS.
Yeah, most definitely. And initially, I was looking at it a little bit pessimistically. Thursday game. That's all well and good. Just what would the fan turnout be like? Obviously, it's early. They started school already, right? Do you know?
Yeah,
So they're
yeah,
back
they
on
did.
campus. So that's good. So the student body is going to be excited to get back out there, support the team, ingratiate themselves within the community, really get to know their fellow classmates and stuff like that, and support the squad coming off a national title run. So that's exciting. The next thing, I was bummed that we weren't able to get an FBS opponent. Obviously, that's good notoriety if you can get a notch
Yeah,
and a win under your belt. But it made sense that if we weren't going to get an FBS opponent scheduled, which will only become more difficult in my estimation because of our
yeah,
success, right? It's kind of the Bison effect and in some of those other, you know, historical teams that fare pretty well, like your Southern Illinois,
yeah,
coincidentally do pretty well against FBS squads, and you get the right matchup, some good things can happen. And then I started to think, okay, well, we have a stout opponent coming in week 2 in Montana State. This Thursday game gives us a longer extended week of preparation for film on that. And then it gets our guys a chance to recover after reacclimating to live game action. So
yeah,
I think it's positives across the board, to be frank. And then, to take this team seriously, Western Oregon was picked 6th in their preseason polling in their conference. They went 6-5 last year. They went 5-4 in conference, 4-2 at home. So, like many teams, they do fare better at home on their friendly confines, but they lost to the lone FCS opponent they played, Weber State, last year pretty handedly. So we're not Weber State, but Weber State is definitely in an upper tier of the FCS, I would say. And so that's certainly a good comp for us coming in. I know they're going to be super prepared and super ready just to hit someone else who's not in their own blue and yellow colors. So walk us through what it was like for you recently when you're prepping and you're getting ready for the first game of the season.
First game of the season, it's always, I'd say my last first game was Colorado State. And just a feeling of getting back to it being a normal season. You're watching a ton of film because you really have all summer to really break down film on people. And I think Coach Smith and our whole coaching staff at the time really did a really good job of it. You already have cut ups of like what they did all last season, like midsummer. So I mean, knowing the dedication that these guys had, they watched film probably for like the first couple games already. You know what I'm saying? And just feeling like I really know what's going on, and just envisioning being out there and having success again and being with your buddies. And first game of the season, it's like jittery a little bit, but it's just like a big sigh of relief, like finally, like I get to do the fun stuff again. It's not just working out all summer. It's not just hitting the weight room and then doing conditioning. It's not just going against my teammate the whole time. Like it's really just like a huge sigh of relief, like all right, like let's get it on. You know what I mean?
Yeah, the big grind of fall camp, it just wears on you over time, and the monotony drags on. So you really got to keep your focus, stay sharp. I know they're going to do a great job of that moving forward with Coach Rogers, because that's his MO. Hyper focused, very diligent, likes to perfect his craft, and so I'm sure he was doing much the same, just in a different capacity, running things like a CEO. But that being said, there's several new faces on the staff that are very familiar to the game of football, but learning a little bit more about how we do things in Brookings and acclimating to, that working relationship and dynamic with their peers. So we got Mike Banks coming over from Illinois State, coaching the cornerbacks. He had a storied career at Illinois State as a DB himself, and he's no stranger to Frisco, because in 2014 he was a part of that squad that made that run. So that's really good. He also coached at Illinois State, and so that's going to bode well. We got the Minaj pair back. I believe Pete is the one man in the safeties, so that's going to be good on the defensive side of the ball. Pete's very familiar with DBs and safeties and linebackers specifically, having come over from Northern Illinois and then most recently with Coach Bergstrom at Winona State. So that familiarity is just going to pay dividends in terms of acclimating. And then Bobbitt is the defensive coordinator. Obviously, Coach Rogers is going to have his stamp all over that. That's his forte.
Yeah.
But then you look at Coach Bibbs. So that was your deal, the chain gang. Talk a little bit about, what it's like to acclimate to different coaching styles at your position group.
My freshman year, I came in, I had Coach Courier. And if you know him, he's a lot different from Coach Smith, and probably as different as you could get, like at least like visually, and made a little bit different personality wise. But it's, as a player, it's kind of difficult because you're taught, at least for people like Kellen Solik, who had Courier for most of their career, and then just Coach Smith for the very end. Like that's a hard transition to make, and I feel like it's on the coach, the incoming coach, to kind of make it easier on you. And from what I heard about Coach Bibbs and meeting him and talking to him, I believe that he's doing a great job so far. A lot of guys are making progress, and I think Coach Smith did the same thing for us when we were there. It's all about just like breaking it down and making it football 101 again. Like, because you're a whole different person. So like now we're all on the same level, right? Like we're learning how to play football under you. So like you got to do a good job of like this is how I want things, and this is how we're going to do things. And it's up to the players to really buy into that. So, and knowing the guys that we have and knowing the culture that's been built there, I know they're all going to do a good job of really acclimating and gelling together.
Well put. And they're fully loaded, right? They just reloaded. I mean, of course, you lose the production of Caleb Sanders, certainly statistically, but more so in his ability to just disrupt things at the line of scrimmage, right? The fact that
Yeah.
he's constantly got a great transition pass rush to knife into the backfield. His ability to play with low pads and his leverage is unmatched. I mean, talk a little bit about
Yeah.
what he was able to do in blue and yellow when you were playing with him.
When we first met Caleb, like we really all thought like he was a weirdo. Like I was like, all right, there's something off about this dude. And I think most of the great D linemen you're gonna meet are going to be weird guys, like just in general. But just seeing some of the plays he was able to make and like watching on film, being like, I don't think like anybody else can make that play. I think it was North Dakota State. They tried to get him with like this was 2021, the home game. They tried to get him with a wham block, and like he wrong armed it and then ripped up through it and made the tackle. And I'm like that. If you kind of could visualize, that play for the people who play football, like that's nearly impossible to make. You know what I mean? Like just the strength and the leverage and just the body control, I think, is what made him a real special player. Like even last year, someone like Reese Winkleman, like was just kind of a technician. Like he wouldn't do the crazy fancy like spin moves and the flashiest hezzies and all this stuff. Like he was just a guy who could just play ball. You know what I mean? Like, and I would, other guys like that. Like I would say, like people like Crockett were like that, where it's just like it's not the craziest. Oh, let me just do this crazy move and all this kind of stuff. Like it's just being a good football player, like understanding where your body moves. And I think Caleb had that, and on top of that, being like a crazy athlete. But you know, even transitioning to the guys that we still have this year, I think Kate Trevere is like he's a bad man off the edge for sure. And I think when you lose players, the best part about it, like obviously it's not a good thing because like oh man, we want this player forever, but like once they leave, you kind of get to see like, oh, why wasn't this guy playing more? You know what I mean? Like you get those guys that are ready to prove themselves, like Brian Williams and Jared DePriest and Aaron Wolfkill. You know what I mean? Like guys that really didn't get a whole lot of play. I mean, they played a lot. I'm not because they rotate a lot, but guys that didn't play as much in those crucial downs. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
That want to be out there at that time, and like when they get that chance to be out there, like they're gonna make it count. So I'm excited to see kind of how those guys react to a situation like that.
definitely. And then you got Van Marl, Max Balloon, Jay Safor, who's a giant, only
Yeah,
going to add more depth, certainly, but a physical presence because we've continued to improve the type of athlete we're putting at the D line position, starting
yeah,
like with your guys' class on up through the ranks. And then now, with Coach Bibbs coming over, he's definitely got some good experience. I've seen a lot of the cut ups, the interviews from practice during fall camp. I like his energy. He's out there. He looks like he's still, game ready himself. Coming over from a coaching perspective at perennial D2 contender Grand Valley State.
yeah,
They're no slouch and they're up there in Michigan. So he's no stranger to the weather there. But also he comes back to where he played ball, at least in the state at Northern State in Aberdeen.
yeah.
So he played there from 11 to 14. So he's definitely got familiar from a recruiting perspective, probably with the general region. I like how he carries himself, how he speaks to the players. I'm sure he's going to have them amped up. And really, what a better position to kind of fall into than the depth that we've got, the leadership that we've got on the defensive line. And we didn't even mention Quentin Hicks is coming back for his 11th
Yeah.
year or something like that.
Yeah, him, Caden Johnson's coming back. We got a transfer from Iowa State who's he's a really big dude. So I'm excited to see what he can do.
Yep.
Like our D line's kind of stacked. They all said, oh, Zach Wilson as well.
Yep.
Really twitchy guy off the edge. I'm excited to see him take another step this year. I spoke to all the guys, and they all kind of said, Coach Bibbs is like intense. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
more akin to Coach Rogers than Coach Smith. So like it's been funny listening to them kind of take the transition from like, having a coach that's that intense, from, how our meetings used to be so lax back in the day. But I think it could only help them, what I mean? Just, having different kind of coaches and, it could only help them. I
Yeah.
think just more experience, just a different experience, what I mean? But it'll definitely help the group.
Yeah. And having to turn the dial up a little bit, because every team is going to get, we're going to get their best shot. They're going to want to take us down, king of the hill now. A little bit different playing from the top spot as opposed to the top 2-3 spots consistently year in and year out. Now getting that proverbial monkey off the back or homeless cow off the back, as I like to say. That's it's going to be a unique position to play from this year. So I think having that intensity, certainly in practice, mirroring your head coach, being a new guy trying to set your own precedent, I think it's going to be good. I think it's going to only up the ante for the guys all across the board. And then, when you look at calls, I mean, Bobbitt's a good coach, right? He played linebacker. He knows all levels of the defense really well. My question is going to be, how much is he making the calls? Is Coach Rogers making the calls? Because it's hard to kind of manage the entire flow of the game, but also be a coordinator. So it's great that Jimmy coached Jesse Bobbitt, and then also Jesse's manned several different levels of the defense so far. So that's going to, I think, pay dividends. They should work pretty well, but that's something that they're going to be working this out as well, like on game day. So it's nice to have more or less a tune-up opponent. I want to respect every team because, they bleed red just like we do. So you got to take them seriously. But that being said, it'll be good to work out some kinks as well from a cohesion standpoint from the coaching staff.
Sure.
And then when we touch on the coaching staff like that, this is the weird thing, right? We've never had a fully dedicated special teams coach. I think that will alleviate some of the burden from Coach Rogers as well. Because I remember Coach Stig used to be on punt. Coach Stig used to coach punt. And he loved it. But it was still kind of one of those things where, man, if we were funded differently or if we had the resources we needed to, what would it be like if we had a fully dedicated special teams coach rather than position guys running each segment, each phase of special teams? So having Coach Cashmore come over from Pittsburgh State, another perennial D2 power in Kansas, that's going to pay dividends, I think. So, he's been close to the vest with some things, watching the Jackrabbit Illustrated podcast. Matt was saying something to the effect that he wasn't showing his hand or tipping his hand with respect to who's returning kicks, which could be a good thing. But another thing that I'm excited to see is, are we going to see any razzle dazzle broken out, right? Like, maybe some kick return gimmicks. Not that we really need to, probably won't. But I'm sure he's got something in his back pocket that could.
It's good to always have one,
Certainly, that could play a factor down the road. Like, I don't know, you were on the team in Montana State when Chase scored, right, on that fake field goal. So stuff like that.
I think that call was like Mario. Coach Eck loved that. So no matter who are. But no matter who, was coaching special teams, it was like a different coach for punt almost every year, for kick, for field goals and stuff like that. Like there's always a wrinkle in there. And I think, every team in America, if they're smart, has like a few wrinkles in there. But having someone that's fully dedicated to that is going to be huge. My bad. I'm sorry.
No, you're good. I was just going to say, even subtleties like how you line up or catching them, how they line up, having a coach that's just dedicated to keeping eyes on that stuff is going to really reap benefit down the road. Right. So that'll be really cool to see. And then more specifically, I mean, obviously the Yankee twins have all the athleticism in the world and then some, but in terms of punt returns, I personally wouldn't like to see Jaden back there too much unless we need a spark, a game-changing return, because one, catching punts it's tougher than it looks, especially nowadays. You got a lot of the rugby style end over end kick as opposed to the spiral. And we've had some yips in years past that changed the complexion of games, whether it be Jackson, Jaden, whoever's back there. I'd like to see some ball security. Coach Cashmore, I guess, did say that Tucker Large has that capability. So that's something to keep an eye on.
Yeah, I think Jackson Jaden. I think I've probably given him more crap for that than anyone. But I mean, I think that was Illinois State in like 19. I I think they've done a good job of it recently. Like they've corrected the problem after 19. But like you said, like these are some star players, and you don't need them taking like unnecessary hits. So like I do understand. You know
That's
what I'm
the
saying?
that's
Like,
the juice right there, man. We don't
yeah,
they're coming back to improve their draft status. Everybody knows what they can do with the ball in their hands from a
right.
return standpoint. Obviously, that'll pay dividends for them at the next level, just having that in their back pocket. But again, I think what South Dakota State did the best last year, better than they've done in years past, is control the game flow.
Yeah,
And they do that by playing excellent defense, right? Our rush defense was unreal, tops in the nation. But our offensive game flow by just riding the bevy of backs that we've got from Isaiah to Amar to Angel to I'm excited to see the new Johnson kid come up. He's probably my sleeper
yeah,
pick as well, the kid from Texas. I know he got dinged up in spring ball, but he from what I was talking to Jimmy about, he's back. Should be good to go. So, and another coach to that point that I'm excited to see is Robbie Rouse, uh,
yeah.
of the well, I guess it's Mountain West, but it used to be the WAC, but Fresno State lore. I think he's
Mhm.
all-time leading rusher in Fresno State history, if I'm not mistaken. So
Yeah, he's a. I'm excited to see what he can do with our running backs as well. You know what I'm saying? Like a guy that's been there and done that, and with a group that's like pretty experienced and like ready to take if there is a next step for him. You know what I'm saying? There's guys that are ready to take next steps. I'm excited to see what that looks like too.
yeah, he's like that. He's built like that, as they say. He is him, as the young kids like to say.
Right.
So he's coached at North Dakota. Uh, he's coached. Yeah, he's had a stint at Cal Poly, so he's been all over. He's really carved his teeth, and then yeah, he had 4,647 yards and 37 touchdowns running the rock from 2009 to 2012. So the dude can certainly play some ball. Now, will that translate to coaching? He's shown it can. The Michael Jordan effect didn't bite him, where
Yeah.
Jordan didn't want to coach because he was too frustrated that nobody
Yeah.
could up their level of play to his caliber. But who can, if we're being honest? And then yeah, so I mean, he even had a stint with the Cleveland Browns, which is a nice little segue to our guy
Yeah.
PS2. He got traded to the Cleveland Browns for a tackle that the Patriots were in dire need of. It's not a reflection of his inability to do what they needed him to do for New England. It's just more a reflection of need, right? That's all. It comes down to
Right.
business. When you're that level, it's all assets, managing your FTE, as we would say in the professional world, or in this case, managing your assets that you got on your roster. So Pierre's going to do good things, learning, I'm sure, from Nick Chubb, best running back in the NFL right
Yeah.
now. Georgia
That's
boy.
gonna be fun to see. Yeah.
Heck yeah, because it's a great compliment, he showed really, really good spark for New England against like Arizona last year. And, he's shown he can do everything with the ball that you ask him to do. He even improved
Yeah.
his pass protection game. And what I like to see from him this past season when he was a member of the 53 man was what he was doing on special teams. High effort, getting down on kickoff, really just trying to be a presence. And yeah, I'm excited to see what he does. Excited to see Dallas Goedert, Tucker Kraft, and everybody else. Oladokin's going to get picked up. He did really well in
Yeah.
preseason. And
Really well.
if he doesn't get signed off the waiver wires, he's probably going to get picked up off the practice squad. But the Chiefs, if there's a need, they'll probably bring him back since he did so well in their system. It's hard at the top, and they are the top in the,
for sure.
the NFL. So it's he's definitely learned some things. So it'll be cool to watch his progression at the same time with all the other guys that are NFL jacks. And then of course we got Griff playing in the CFL. That's exciting.
Yeah, he's doing his thing out there. He got a touchdown a few weeks ago.
That's right.
Oh, that was fun. Yeah, that was fun to watch. Griff's doing well, and it's dope to see kind of the step that the program's taking too. That's getting a little bit more consistent, where it's looking like, all right, like we could have a guy like almost every year, and the draft class coming up. Don't want to speak on that kind of stuff too early, just because like there's a whole season to be played, and there's a lot of guys that could also even bump into that conversation. Depending on how they play this year. But man, we would be remiss if we didn't talk about like your Hines and our offensive line guys that are going, and Isaiah Davis. Like it's gonna be come that time next year, it'll be fun to see.
No, no doubt. And the fact that they're coming back when they've already achieved at a team level everything you can, obviously that's the goal again. These guys are, high character. You got your McCormicks and your Greenfields and your Hineses of the world. They're coming back because they want to repeat, but they're also coming back because there's stuff left on the table for them to improve their draft stock. And that's the type of program that you're seeing South Dakota State roll out now. And it's becoming, like you said, a consistent thing where guys legitimately, at least one this year, potentially more, have legitimate draft stock
Yeah.
going up. So I'm hyped for it, man. And touching on that, we kind of briefly touched on the defense, but transitioning into the offense, it's a stout offense, right? Like every level you look at receiver depth, like who's going to be that number 3? Is it going to be Graham Goring, which is getting a lot of run from both Matt Zimmer and Jackrabbit Illustrated, Tanner Castora, who had a great piece that came out.
Yeah.
And then you got the transfer from Colorado State too, who let me make sure I get his name right. I think he's a single digit guy. I love the single digits too. Oh, before that, let me back up. Let me rewind it a little bit. We'd be remiss 2 days out if we didn't talk about Christian Roseboom, rocking number 2 in blue and yellow. But he made 53, man. He's going to probably shine pretty bright out there in LA for the Rams. So that's something exciting to keep an eye on as well. But, just crazy what our guys have been able to do at the NFL level. You got Devin Cole. He's one of the receivers that could be vying for that third spot. We also have, he's going to pop up here. Is it like Ty something? What number is he rocking? See, this would be great. No dead air. It'd be great to have a little producer here. We'll get to it.
Yeah.
But, as we're talking, as I'm looking forward here, talk a little bit about what you like from the Yankees and other people vying for that position.
The Yankees, I think, them being twins really benefits them and how competitive they really are. That, obviously, like you could try so hard and, play as hard as you want. But, like, if you always are competing with, like, someone who's pretty similar to you, like, he gets a touchdown, well, I need a touchdown. Like, he had a good block, well, I want a good block. You know what I mean? And that literally just makes the room so much better. You know what I'm saying? From my perspective, seeing them kind of take that step into like a leadership role, because when I was there, they were younger guys to me, I guess, but seeing them step up and kind of take over that room has been like super cool to see. You know what I mean? And not just being like, it's about them and all this, taking other guys with them. You know what I mean? I think D. Cole is taking a step too, and that he gets out there and it's not about like flashy, like I need this pass, I need that. Like he's a little guy, but he'd be blocking his nuts off. You know what I mean? I think that's super cool to see, and just a step that in general a whole lot of guys on the offense have taken. You know what I mean? I think I haven't really seen like full offensive leadership like that from like top to bottom, like every position group like this since I was there. You know what I mean? Like I didn't really see that out of like every single group. So like that's super cool to see. And guys really like taking it upon themselves to lead their groups is awesome.
No, well put, man. And I think like what you say about Devin Cole, I think that's gonna really pay dividends when you look at the game film. If you're an offensive coordinator or a wide receivers coach, and you're like the kid's blocking his ass off, play in, play out. When he's off ball, he's running crisp routes as a decoy. He's trying to climb to second level, get a block. That's only going to make the offensive coordinator want to get the rock to him. in
Yeah.
different ways. And like, if he's willing to sell out for others, let's go ahead and see what we can do for him. That's just how the game works. Reciprocity like that, right? And what I love about watching Devin Cole play is he's quick, right? He's kind of Cade Johnson-esque, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
getting him the ball on the perimeter with whether it be gadget plays, end arounds, things like that, I think that could really be nice wrinkles that we can incorporate into the offensive game plan, depending on the week and the opponent. And speaking of, I know there's a lot of hype about the incoming freshman, the South Dakota kid, but found the gentleman. His name is Kai O'Day Jr., redshirt freshman coming over from Colorado State. So I think he could potentially vie for that
Yeah.
additional spot as well. So I've heard things about him, heard things about and then we got a kid from Lafayette, Louisiana, which I'm excited about too.
Yeah.
Kentrell Prejean. So I'm excited. Another Catholic boy coming over from a Catholic high school like you and I. But yeah, it's going to be exciting. Very deep position group there. That was kind of a question mark because we had a big exodus likely with the Yankees returning, and then other guys seeing the writing on the wall that we had young talent we kind of wanted to develop.
Yeah.
So yeah, and then Graham, I want to say, is he from Kansas or Nebraska? He's from Iowa City, Iowa guy. So that's cool.
Yep.
We were able to snipe one out of old, black and yellow Hawkeye territory. So that's always nice to get a quality guy. He's got a great frame. He's built like the Yankees, 6'3", 205, only a few pounds lighter. I know a couple more years in Jacob's program, he's going to add some lean mass to kick ass. So
Jacobs has been ballooning these guys. Like, they look like I saw Ryan the other day. Like,
yeah,
he just looked like, bro, these dudes look good. Like, he's doing this thing within the weight room. So it's dope to see.
And the thing that I like about it is they're all adding lean mass. It's like, it's one thing just to put on excess weight because you're not eating right and taking care of yourself. But the caliber athlete, I mean, even coming from your class and then the classes up through the eras post my playing days, we have some dogs. But now you're just seeing every kid, because I think the infrastructure, not to use too big a word, but like all the avenues for exposure to performance training, nutrition, strength and conditioning stuff when they're playing high school ball all the way up through the ranks has gotten so much better that these kids are and they're playing multiple sports. That's what I like that we do. It's better for your body, better for your development as you go through like your movement skills and stuff. And as you progress as an athlete, I would have liked a chance to play more sports. I don't know about you. Did you play multiple?
Yeah, actually, before I got too heavy, I used to high jump. So in high school, I was on the track team and played football until I got to 250, and I was like, yeah, I can't do that anymore.
I didn't realize you had bursts like that. That's cool.
I know. I think my best was it wasn't crazy. Like, my best was 6'1", so I wasn't winning anything, but I could get up there if I had to.
Yeah. Did you ever throw any throwing events?
No, not in high school. Once I wasn't high jumping anymore, I was like, yeah, I'm done with track.
Gotcha. So that was middle school. You were high jumping.
Yeah, until I was a sophomore, I was a high jumper.
Nice. Oh, that's cool. That's good. It's a good talent. It's a good skill. Anything else?
I mean, in middle school, I played basketball, softball, all that kind of stuff, but nothing too serious. Track and football were the only ones I took kind of seriously.
Gotcha. Yeah. Shout out to Mike Burzloff for watching the show tonight. He mentions last year how Jacob's first season with the team, they just look different. And this year, we're all excited to see what they look like.
Yeah.
I know from a lot of the media that's been posted, whether it be Matt Zimmer at Sioux Falls Live or Tanner Castora, or even just the Jackrabbit Sports Network crew with Tyler Merriam and them, Tucker's got veins popping. The Yankees are always looking like creative players. You got, Freeman's always got the guns showing. I know he's short and compact, but we'd be remiss if we didn't give him a shout out. Stallbird, he's a freak, right? I mean, and then you got the choo-choo train in the backfield. He was a grown man as a true freshman. So
I'll say, if you want to see the difference of what Jacobs has done, I'd say look at Jared DePriest and Max Balloon.
Max Balloon, my God, man.
yeah, like the way they look versus how they came in, and even like their first year or two, it's like completely different. Like I looked at Max, I was like, bro, you look like a real D tackle now. Like what? And like not fat, nothing, just like massive, solid. So I'm excited to watch him play a lot this year too.
Yeah, and to that point, and what we're talking about here, there's going to be another article coming out on our Substack. So splittinghairsmedia.substack.com, where I go through 21 questions for the upcoming 2023 season. That'll be posted tomorrow. But in that, I talk about one of my questions is with Coach Jacobs getting another year under his belt. We had some injuries that were not a reflection of his preparation or anything like that, but we had some contact injuries, had seemingly a lot fewer non-contact injuries than we've had in the past, which
Yeah.
is just a huge testament to the sports medicine department, athletic trainers, Coach Jacobs and his squad. And then I think, honestly, probably some of the regulations now with, fewer days, there's no two-a-days hitting in full pads
Yeah.
anymore, if I remember correctly. I think that just saves the body a lot more. You take unnecessary impacts, kind of like what we were talking about with the Yankee boys not necessarily returning kicks this year. And I think that just allows you a little bit more longevity, a little bit more physical spring, pep in your step, and then an ability to obviously prolong your season, to not have any bumps, bruises catch up with you later on in the year. So really, really cool to see not only just their aesthetic, their physique, and how they all look, but to see it pay dividends from
Yeah.
being available standpoint. So, so yeah, that's exciting as well. And then Mark, he's a pretty boy, right? Pretty boy, but he's built. He's built. He'll flex on them for you. I
Yeah.
hope we see him tote the rock too a little bit. Maybe not on Thursday, but down the road.
Yeah. And I
Um,
mean, knowing how Coach Rogers was, because we would always like sometimes like when Coach Dig was gone and had like different obligations. Coach Rogers would run practice, and like those were always like he's like huge on taking care of your body. So like like you said, like some days aren't going to be contact the whole time. You know what I mean? Where you're just like knocking heads and all this. So I think putting him in like the head coach position, like he's going to really take care of their bodies and make sure that they're good to go when it counts.
Man, I'll tell you this. If I were getting recruited nowadays, there's nobody I'd rather play for than Coach Rogers. And I did not care for him as a teammate for a little bit. It's mainly just the ego testicle, as one of my bosses used
Yeah,
to say, Mark Verstegen with Exos. Shout out to them. They do a lot of great pre-draft stuff. They've worked with Pierre, right? And then
yeah,
they worked with Isaiah, but Isaiah's with my guy Jordan. Jordan now over at the Sports Academy in Frisco. Him and Daishawn were out there this summer,
yeah.
so
This summer,
they are getting right, man. But with respect to Coach Rogers, his preparation, and like you said, he is big on taking care of your body. He was always trying to send guys and plug them into Exos, or even
yeah,
getting them an internship or a career down the road. So he's always Jimmy's on the bleeding edge of the best stuff that you can do to protect your body and get yourself right and build your armor, as they say in our line of work, on the D line and stuff like that, getting your body right. So yeah, I know he's gonna do whatever he can to tap the JFPA, which I know they've done a lot to feed them, to do other things to get them set up so they can play their best ball. So that's another really cool thing about the trajectory of the program coming into this new era, which is super exciting.
yeah. Shout out to JFPA, man. Like those guys are the kind of stuff that they do, bro, for the program. Like, and for even me personally, just having people to reach out to and always connect with. You know, what they do for the program is just awesome, and I truly don't believe that there's another program out there like that. So to them,
Exactly.
my guys, keep it up. You feel me?
Yeah. I mean, shout out to Ryan McKnight, of course. Shout out to the treasurer, Cam Jones. Shout out to Fritzy. Um, yeah. I mean, they've done a great job. And shoot, his name's escaping me. I talked to him a lot. He hooked me up with my pullover. Is it Ryan? Yeah, Ryan Knutson. Shoot.
Yeah,
So many names to remember. Got to can't leave him out. He does the marketing.
yeah,
Ryan's a man. So has great stories, and he's the best to kick it with at a tailgate too. Knudsen
Yeah.
is. So is McKnight. They're all great. But we're biased. But you know what, guys? There's plenty of people who aren't signed up for the JFPA. So take advantage of those perks, the brotherhood. There's a lot of us out there, and regardless of what your take was in past years and past eras under Coach Stig or whatever your experience was, it's always a great time to start a new day and start fresh and bond with the guys. And it's a unique brotherhood, man. Like when you play ball and you bleed with other people, it's different. There's a respect. And then there's opportunity, right? Like the network, like if you need a job, if you need to get plugged in, we'll all be there for one another. So check that out. Get in touch with Ryan, follow JFPA on Facebook and Twitter and all the socials, and let's get you linked up. So that's my plug there. Man, there's so many people who made the preseason lists or on the Reese's Senior Bowl watch list and stuff like that I'm really excited to see who steps up behind them. We know who the dogs are, right? Who's going to be the young blood that steps up and makes a name for himself? To pull from Tanner's perspective in his article, who's going to be the next guy who makes a name for himself that has the fan base really excited about the prospects of them for years to come? Do you have any insights on that? Anybody you want to keep an eye on? Maybe starting at D-line.
I was gonna say I was going to because I'm biased and like those are like the young guys I know, but um, granted, Aaron Wolfkill isn't like a freshman or anything. I believe he's a redshirt sophomore, but I'm really excited to see how he plays. I'm excited to see because he made huge steps in pass rush just watching him play last year. Who's going to be the next Tucker Large?
Yeah, great question, Mike Burzloff. Shout out.
Hey, man, from my personal experience, I ain't never met no one like Tucker Large, and I don't think there will be another one. He's such just his mentality, bro. Like he's I think the way he approached football, like he a Coach Rogers kind of dude, like mentally. You know what I mean? So there's
He's
only one Tucker Large.
He's a lifer.
Yeah.
Tucker Large is a lifer. I could see him just eating, breathing, sleeping the game of football. And
Yeah.
his last name is Large, but he plays like a 3X. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, so he's a beast. I'm also excited to see, like you said, Jace earlier.
Yep.
Big frame. Me and Xavier were joking because we were like, man, he's like X 2.0. You know what I mean? Like he's long arms, athlete. You've seen on Twitter that clip of him catching that one touchdown. But I'm also excited to see Logan Green. So these are a couple guys that I got to see personally. When they were being recruited by South Dakota State at the football camps. So we were able to watch and just really see what they look like and what they can do. Jace is, well, at least when I saw him, was like a little bit more of like a raw talent, you know what I'm saying? Like a huge ceiling kind of guy. But Logan Green is a dude that kind of really knows what he's doing, really strong, can be a guy that at least early in his career is how kind of Ryan Benmar played early in his career. You know what I mean? Being stout, moving guys, not being moved, destroying double teams. So I think our interior D line is going to be, at least the young ones are going to be really good in a few years. And hopefully,
sorry to interrupt, but how Ryan Van Marl was able to impact games at the line of scrimmage on special teams. I mean, the dude is just a nightmare for kickers.
Yeah, Big Alice is no joke, especially when it comes to blocking kicks.
Nah, yeah, definitely. So a couple guys that I'm excited to see just from a personal standpoint. I got my guy Savion Williamson. Love watching him.
Oh, yeah.
Love that he just gutted it out and just rose up and was the guy in a lot of instances when we were depleted at linebacker last year. Again, due to contact injuries, Bach had to sit out. It wasn't other stuff. And same thing with Stallbert. I think he got dinged up a tad, but it was a grind of a season. And that Iowa game was a bloodbath. I mean, it was so physical. I was sitting way up in Kinnick, but I could see and feel the punishment that each level was inflicting on one another from both sides. Another guy I'm excited to see, a couple of them here. One at safety, he's gotten a little run, and he's a big frame. Matthew Durant out of Florida, he's another guy.
Yep.
He's fun to watch play, and then also my guy Graham Spalding, the law. You got
I love watching Graham play.
He is so violent. I love it. This is my favorite thing to watch. I thought he
Man,
killed the guy against North Dakota. I thought he ended his life. Like he hit him that hard.
Graham needs like a warning label on the back of his helmet, like the same one you put on cigarettes. Like this is
Yeah.
detrimental to your health. So
Yes, sir. Or a parental
I'm excited.
advisory sticker. He's gonna send
Yeah,
that to kids.
I'm excited to watch Caleb Francil play too because he got injured that first game. Even after he got the start, really good athlete, will crunch somebody. I'm excited to watch him play. I think there's a there's another linebacker. I'm thinking. Well, I'll just piggyback off of Savion as well. I can't speak enough volumes to like a guy that's been at a school this long and kind of was just like waiting his time this long, and then his number's called and he steps in and shows out when he gets the chance. You know what I mean? Even the energy he played with while he was playing. You know, if you like you have a son, bro, I would tell him like if he's not playing right away, like I'd tell him a story about Savion. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that's the kind of like inspiration like that gives people. You know what I'm saying? Like if things aren't working out your way, like bro, stick it out. You know what they say? How they say like stay down till you come up. Like that's Savion's story and the way he plays is like the definition of that.
Yeah. I couldn't have put it any better, man. That is so well put, especially for, it's any player. It's so easy to get dejected after an injury, and he got injured in the spring natty. And then he had to work himself back onto the field, deep linebacker roster, and just, I mean, no doubt he's got just put his head down and went to work. And then you had a guy come in, Jason Freeman, and really play lights out himself. So it got deep in there, and they both held it down. While Bach was recovering, Stahlberg was dinged, and it really paid dividends. And that's the thing. That's another point of emphasis that this program has really built itself into is those who stay will literally be champions now. I know the roster's deep. I know you're on a program that, you thought you were going to be the guy. Everybody coming out of high school thinks they're going to be the guy.
Right. Exactly.
But if that's what you think, make sure your work ethic aligns. I can speak personally, like saying at times I thought certain things should have just been given to me. And then I was like, screw this. I'm throwing out that mindset. I need to just get to work and outdo myself each day. And I've seen a lot of other guys do that, and then some with this personal roster right here that we've got. And, every level we're just loaded. You got, Dyshawn's going to be holding it down at corner. Then you got, I think, Dallas Beanham's going to be holding it down the other side. He's a pickpocket. He'll steal your wallet and blow you a kiss at the same time out there on the field.
That room's deep too. Stephen Arell making huge plays in the natty with that strip. Long dude. He's gotten a lot bigger.
6'3", 95. That's huge for a corner.
Yeah. And Miles has gotten a lot better. I talked to Coach Rogers about him, I think, at Preston's wedding. Like, they're excited about him, too. Seeing the plays he made, that one-handed interception on Twitter.
Yep.
Like, that group is going to be –
oh, my gosh. That was insane.
Yeah.
And then
that group's going to be –
Jalen Lee, who is highly touted. He's going to get some run.
Yep.
And then there's going to be different packages. With this depth, that is a nightmare for what Coach Rogers is scheming. He's going to be cooking up so many exotic looks that they don't know what to do with. We haven't even – I know we talked about Tucker Large and we talked about, Matthew Durant, who I'm excited to watch. But you got Colby Herter. You got Aiden Dotterman. You got – dude, I mean –
yeah, still got Reader, too.
Reader. You talk about people –
he'll blow your chest off.
He'll put a hole in your chest. It's crazy, man. It's like we're biased, but this is objective here. I think pretty objective nationally. That's exactly some of the first stuff that you read. This is the most loaded roster in the FCS. This is the most experienced roster returning. This is, the accolades are almost endless, but pardon my French, that doesn't mean shit this year. It's all a reset. It's what have you done for me lately? And I know the boys are going to be excited to drop quite a few points on Thursday. Now, the question is, I don't want to get too far ahead of ourselves, but do we see another team get pine bluffed?
Oh man. I'm not See now, Coach Rogers is in charge, so I don't know. They might drop 90 something,
They might drop 100, and he might say, "Hey,
bro.
you guys play football too." Like, what's that old
Right?
Cam? What's the Cam quote? If you don't like me dancing, keep me out the end zone.
Yeah, and I don't see. No, I don't know how he gets down as a head coach, and I will be curious to see how like he handles that. But you can't get mad at guys going in the game and like scoring when they get the chance. You know what I mean? And in that situation, you had dudes that never really got a chance to score a touchdown after that game, and they got their one shot and they took it. So I mean, you
Yeah.
know, like you
And
said, you play.
yeah, Coach Stiggs fashion. He's like apologizing. I'm like, why are you apologizing when third and fourth stringers are scoring, man? That's not. And
Yeah,
I
that's not on you.
no, I understand his sentiment. Coach Stiggs is a sweetheart, right? We all know that. But
Yeah,
at the end of the day, I love the Arkansas Pine Bluffs coach response when he was like, that's our job. He doesn't. There's nothing to apologize for. We should have done better, and that's just kind of how it goes sometimes. Like, I don't really think we never got our asses kicked. Maybe once by like Cal Poly, some triple option crap, but
yeah,
yeah, for the most part, we never really were on that end of it. Certainly not 90 plus points, but I
right.
kind of do feel for Western Oregon in that capacity because it's just our third stringers could effectively start the game, and that's no slight to them. It's just
Yeah,
the resources. I mean, they didn't
and
even
we're that
play.
deep, honestly.
We're that deep. We didn't even play. They didn't even play the COVID season, and they were 4-6 in 2021. I'm sure battling a lot of attrition. Guys probably left and retired or what have you. But it's gonna be interesting. I just hope both teams make it out healthy because
Yeah,
obviously their goal is to win all their games just like ours. But their goal is not to be the best team against South Dakota State. It's to be the best team in their division. Our goal is
yeah,
not to be the best team that plays a D2 school. It's to be the best team we can be and realize our own potential in the 2023 season. I think to do that, we obviously got to get our main guns healthy. And then I want to
yeah,
see the development of the talent underneath them. I want to see Derek Johnson tote the rock, Angel Johnson tote the
yeah,
rock. And I want to see the secondary, the safeties kind of get off the field. Some of the young guys get in the corners. And then, like we said about that linebacker depth, let's see what we got. Let's roll them in.
yeah,
So that'll be fun to watch. And offensively, I want to see some offensive line work, get depth. I know
yeah.
Coach Olson's fun to watch for me. I like how he approaches it. I like how he gets after it. And just technically, they looked. I mean, Coach Eck's a great coach, right? But just technically, they
Yeah.
looked a little bit more dialed in some ways. And I think in just general approach, the guys were more hungry because I know Coach Eck had designs on getting himself a head coaching job, and deservedly so, right? They've
Yeah.
done a hell of a job out there in Moscow for Idaho and the Vandals, but it's going to be really cool to see what these young Bucks do, especially from an offensive line perspective, because we're going to lose a lot of people next year, right?
Yeah.
Um, and I think we don't want to peak week one, but the best way to do that is to get these young guys reps, stay fresh for what we've got ahead of us, the whole season ahead of
Yeah.
us, and a big opponent coming in. I know they're not going to be looking ahead to that, but it'd be foolish almost not to, have that in the back of your minds. Certainly from a fan
Yeah.
base perspective, but definitely from a coaching staff perspective. And,
And I already know, like,
go ahead.
as a player, I mean, you don't take anyone lightly or overlook games, but I mean, guys remember, what I mean, what that Montana State game meant, I mean, last year. And I'm sure they did not forget that either. You know what
No.
I'm saying? So,
And their fan base was making all kinds of excuses, and I know that didn't settle well with the players and the staff. I mean, they probably didn't pay too close attention to it, but there's gonna be no excuses when that weather is
oh,
hot,
yeah.
beautiful, even at night, under the lights with a blackout. Everybody's gonna be rocking. My
I mean,
goodness.
if they're talking about weather, it's like, bro, you're from Montana.
Yeah.
What? Like,
Yeah, they had no
yep.
excuse. They said the
Yeah.
field, and these are fans, right? Like,
Yeah.
obviously fans are going to have a different angle and they're going to go to bat for their squad through thick and thin, whether it makes sense or whether it doesn't. We got some
Right.
of our own, and I love them for it. But at the end of the day, I'm not going to make it a BS excuse about the same surface that everybody played on. I mean,
Right,
that's
yeah. If
just
if Isaiah Davis can run on that and Tucker Kraft can, like
yeah,
Tommy Mollott can too. It's okay.
exactly. And that, and I'm excited to see how he takes another step, but we'll cover that next week.
Yeah.
Now I want to get into, as we're starting to wind down here in the program, want to get into what we do typically, just score predictions, man. I like doing that. I think we'll keep rolling with that in our segment here. And
I don't want to sound bogus though. I'm about to sound bogus. You go first.
yeah, I'll do I'm gonna say 63-7.
63 zip. I'll stay there. I don't want to go. I don't want to be disrespectful.
I like it. I like it. Yeah, and that's not disrespectful. I just think that's the
Yeah.
complexion of talent and the disparity that you'll probably see between the two teams. And obviously, we're playing at home. Maybe if we were playing out there, which wouldn't happen, but if it were on their home turf, maybe they get a little bit of a different vibe. But yeah, it's gonna be exciting. It's gonna be some hitting going on out there, which we always love to see. So
Yeah.
I
And granted, these dudes have something to prove too, though. You know what I mean? Like,
yep,
just like when we would take on FBS squads, like the whole time I'm thinking, like, man, I can play here. You know what I'm saying? So you're trying to show these guys, like, yo, like I'm not out of place, like standing on the field with you. And these dudes are going to come in here feeling the same way. So you're going to get like the best ball they possibly have. So, and that's obviously like, it's college football. So, like, these guys don't suck at football.
yeah.
You know what I mean?
The equation works
So,
both ways. That's exactly right. I mean,
exactly.
we get up for FBS, they're getting up for us, and that's how the cookie crumbles. And we'll see how it unfolds. So my player of the game on offense, man, so hard, so many weapons. I'm
Yeah.
gonna go with Amar Johnson. I think he'll probably get a healthy number of carries. I'm gonna go with him. I know Isaiah can run right through him, but I don't know how many touches he'll
Yeah.
get.
Offense, I'll do how Coach Stig does it for the fat guys. I'm gonna go Mason McCormick because I'm already know he's licking his chops for this game. And
Yep.
little guy, I'll go. I hope I see D Cole go off. Actually, I would love to see that. Get him
Yeah.
started early this season. So
Yeah. And
those are
do we
my
see,
picks for offense.
I like it, man. And do we see Chase Mason sighting? He's the number 2
Oh
guy.
yeah, that'll be fun to watch. Yeah,
It'll be fun to watch him dial it up and see who he connects with from a wide receiver perspective. And
yeah,
does Griffin Wilde see the field? We didn't touch on him. I think he's gotten a
yeah,
lot of talk, deservedly so, but he's a young pup. There's a lot of people in front of him. We'll see what happens. He's got great ability, no doubt about that. So that'll be fun to see
yep.
what Chase and the young guys do. Defensively, who you got?
Uh, it's just because I don't know who's gonna be out there that long. You know what I mean? So I'm trying to think of like Matthew Durant. I want to see what Juice has. I think it could be a real coming out party for my guy Juice.
I
So,
like it. That's a good pick. I'm going to go with Caleb Francel. You had to sit
oh
out the
yeah,
entire season, go through all those emotions, go through the grind of getting his leg back and healthy, and seeing the field again is going to be something else for him. And I know he's going to settle in, and it'll be cool to see how he announces himself on Thursday. So
for sure.
that's what we got. We got our scores in the 60s. We got our predictions in, got our players of the game in, special teams. We'll go with Dustman because he's the guy who does it all.
Yeah, for real.
He's got all the duties anyway. So
Yeah.
yeah. So, well, we appreciate it, y'all. That's going to be it for us. But just want to give a shout out again to our sponsors, Cottonwood Coffee and Bistro, as well as True North Retirement. Just a reminder again, check out our article releasing tomorrow on the blog, Scott Wagner, or the Rabbit Hole, as he's affectionately known as on Twitter. He provided another one as well. It'll be a game day feature talking about the atmosphere and some things like that. So I'm excited for that. And then what else we got? If you want to be a sponsor, I've got some good sponsorship feelers out to some local companies in Brookings. Super excited about that. Got our former player feature pods. It's a mouthful. Former player feature pods coming up again as well. So that's exciting stuff to look forward to. And if you want to be a part of the team, if you've got any experience with multimedia, if you've got a passion for design or graphics, infographics, I'm kind of doing all of it right now. So would love to, we've already fielded quite a few inquiries as to help, but the more the merrier. And I'd love to have you be a part of the squad with Stack and I. So hit me up on Twitter at splitting_hairs here. Stack's also on there, _55 stacks. You already know. And with that, we're excited for football to be back, y'all. So pack the Dana if you're in Brookings or Sioux Falls or in the surrounding areas. We'll hope to see you out there this year. And with that, go big, go blue, go
Go Jacks.